Greetings from the Magnolia. I'm Nyda Bittmann-Neville, your host, and the Magnolia focuses on image, brand, and business culture. And today, again, is a very special show. If you happened to tune in last week, you know that we had an interview with a dear friend of mine, Harold Wooten, who is the author of the book Justice is Just Us. And it truly is a look about change. And today we are going to continue that interview with Harold, conducted by Nancy, our reporter, as he begins to look at life commandments, both positive and negative, and how those impact our lives. And then he's going to take us to the inside of the organizational structure of the criminal justice system. And as he begins to look at what is wrong with the system and how can we begin to change it, and he looks at, of both men and women, who is best to make that change. Well, let's just listen as we explore Justice is Just Us.
You mentioned a negative life commandment. What is a negative life commandment?
Well, commandments, we get life commandments usually from our family. And you can think of them as positive or negative. Think of them as that little voice in your head. For example, a positive life commandment would be like Bill Clinton, whose mother always reinforced the notion you're going to be president one day. So he always had that voice in his head, you can do it, you can do it. John McCain the same way, and his family was an admiral. You can do this. So that commandment stayed with both of those guys. A negative life commandment, again, a voice in your head, is one that says you can't do something, or you have limitations, or makes you question yourself. For example, you could have, Harold, you're lazy. You know, in fact, my mother must have told me that 100 times. She said one day I'll end up being a truck driver. I kind of wish I was now, out by myself and that sort of thing. But often negative life commandments spring into our consciousness when we are most anxious. Now, for G, she got a negative life commandment at her dying mother's bedside when she was about 11 years old, and her mother said to her, "Be a good girl and take care of others." Well, that voice in her head led to her pulling punches and not upsetting the apple cart, if you will. How many women have been given an assignment like G, you know, keep it zipped, right, and don't be too obnoxious, dear, just be nice. So G reaches the viewpoint that she's had enough, with a lot of support from her therapist. The hell with this being a nice woman, and she takes the gloves off and begins to assert herself. And this leaning into conflict, if you will, which she learns to do and breaks an old pattern, puts her on a collision course, not only with her deputy chief probation officer, who's very power hungry, Dora Kingmaker, but ultimately with the state officials and with the court and all of the power structure, the good old boy power structure. She does then, in effect, what she does then is learn to live on the edge, acting courageously before she has the courage. That action turns G upside down with regard to the system. Now, she also meets a young black man, TJ, who's being released from prison. You see a display of her reliance on strength-based approaches. That is, finding what TJ's strengths are so that he becomes quite a successful IT expert, until the system reaches in with its heavy hand to punish him, and punish him they do.
The thing you chose to write from the point of view of a woman's perspective, how did that come about?
That's a good question. I've been asked that a lot of times. What was it like? What did it feel like? Quite frankly, before I got those questions, I wasn't very conscious of that. I think it comes from two vantages I have. The first is that as a management consultant, I'm always looking at the organizational culture, and I teach organizational culture at Johns Hopkins University as well. Now, it's clear to me and many others that the organizational culture of criminal justice is derailed. So naturally the question would have come to me somewhere along the line, who then's going to put it back on the railings?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a man or a woman? So secondly, I'm a presentation coach, and I pay a lot of attention to listening and communication styles, how people communicate and with what degree of effectiveness. Women have great ease with empathy. They can be empathetic almost in a blink. And no doubt that is a function of their experience with nurturing. Men, on the other hand, tend to look for facts, and in that regard, they're very competitive and very aggressive. It seems to me, when you have a broken organizational culture, one that only wants to punish people and see how many people you can stuff back in prisons and jails, then it's going to take a woman to lead the way to get out of that. I frankly am sick and tired of the old white politicians and all of their junk that they spread, the buzzwords, the enticement to the rhetoric of punishing, the polarization, the us versus them. I'm sick and tired of it. And I hope this book does something to send another message. So, in short then, if we need a human revolution, if you will, in the court system, in criminal justice, I bet you that women are going to lead that. Now, that said, one area of difficulty I had was trying to figure out how women orally express their anger, and secondly, how they cuss. So I had it all wrong for a while, and I got a lot of help from my editors, and also my wife helped me a lot in the area of how they cuss.
Okay, very good.
We want to say thank you to our reporter Nancy as she interviewed Harold Wooten, who is the author of the book Justice is Just Us. If you would like more information on the book, just contact me at themagnolia.tv. If you'd like to have Harold join your conference, your convention, and speak to you about the book again, just contact me and I will give you all of his contact information. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some very exciting shows for you, so please keep tuned. And as you know, the Magnolia is heard with a new segment each and every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so greetings from the Magnolia. I'm your host, Nyda Bittmann-Neville.